ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So here is another very important direction from Brahma to his son Swayambhuva Manu. He is giving him direction in terms of his duty as a father and also as a king. So he is saying, what is the greatest service you can render to me? Param Shushushanam Mahyam. Prabhupada translates, Shushushanam means devotional service. The greatest service you can render to me is by engaging people in devotional service. And that is actually the real protection of the living being. He says, Syat praja rakshaya nirpa. O king, O nirpa, how you can render service to me? By engaging the living entities in devotional service. And that is the real protection. Syat praja rakshaya. Praja rakshaya. That is the real protection. Prabhupada explains here what is protection. Kshatriyas or the king are supposed to give protection. We should very clearly understand as devotees, protection is not just for the body alone. Protecting the body is also required. The king has to give protection to the body. The most important protection is protection for our devotional service. Protection so that the citizens may not be spoiled. Prabhupada is translating here Rakshaya, not as giving protection to just merely the body. He says here, by saving them from being spoiled. How one can be saved from being spoiled? By engaging them in devotional service. So, Brahmaji is saying that is the greatest service you can render by engaging all of them in devotional service to the Lord, and that is also the greatest protection because they will not be spoiled. That will be their real protection. Now, why even protection of the body in that sense is also considered to be protecting devotional service, the plan of the Lord? How do we understand? We find Maharaj Parikshit, when he saw that a cow and bull were being harmed by a Shudra class of person who is dressed up like a monarch, who is dressed up like a king. King should be actually giving protection, but here he was seeing completely different. He was seeing instead of giving protection, he was harming cow and bull. So then he immediately got down and immediately chastised that Shudra. What is the meaning of when Prabhupada explains that Maharaj Parikshit was the real king, for he gave protection even to the animals. How is animals' protection related to Krishna consciousness? How is the king, when he is protecting even the animals, how is it protecting in Krishna consciousness? How do we understand? How is he representing the Lord in that kind of protection? Why? But actually this material world is a prison house. Why that protection for the body is at all required? Better he gets out of the prison house as early as possible. So why protection in prison house is required? Yes, that is the point. Every living entity is in the prison house, imprisoned for a certain number of years. Gradually, they're all advancing to better status of life. By taking up their life unnecessarily, we are hampering their spiritual progression towards a better life, towards an advanced life. Right? So, even the physical protection of the animal is a protection of their devotional service, because they will gradually, after undergoing that imprisonment in that animal life, they will give up their body, and naturally they are advancing towards, they are evolving towards higher life, better consciousness. So even protection of body of animal is also essential in that sense. That is also service to the Lord. And specifically, cow protection is more important. Why? Why Maharaj Parikshit was so much concerned about protection of specifically cows? Because cows are the most essential element for human society. Human society is specifically meant for self-realization. Manu Samhita is not given for animal. It is given for humankind, mankind. Mankind, they can understand the Vedic scripture, they can advance and go back to Godhead in the very same lifetime. So, if they are given proper protection, if they are given proper facility, so by protecting the cows, by giving protection to the cows, it is also protection to human society. Because cows are very essential for human society. Cow's milk is considered to be very essential for a proper developed brain. If we don't have finer developed tissues in our brain for advancing, for understanding spiritual advanced science, it is very difficult if we are very dull. So, cow is considered to be very essential. So, Kshatriyas used to give protection to everyone, but special protection for cows and Brahmanas. Because Brahmanas were giving direction to the society, and cows were giving the most essential food required for spiritual advancement. So, it is interesting to understand here, Brahmaji is saying protection in terms of devotional service. It's very clearly defined. Even though protection involves protection of this body also, but most essential, the meaning of protection is to protect devotional service of the citizens. That was the prime duty of the king. Today, unfortunately, both are missing. neither there is a proper protection for the body. Remember in one of the verses we were reading, that is why instead of depending on the government, people have to depend on insurance company. They are no more dependent on government. People have lost that faith that I will be given protection. So they are thinking better than government is, let me insure my life with the insurance company. At least they will give me some protection. So today's modern government is not able to give even protection to the material body. And unfortunately, because they are themselves not aware about the goal of life, how can they give direction to the society? How can they engage people in devotional service? They themselves are blind to the goal of life. Here it is very clearly mentioned that all the citizens should be engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord. What is the word used here? You see, very related. Praja Rakshaya is related to Rishikesha. The word Rishikesha. See, everything is very interrelated. Brahma is telling his son, do Praja Raksha. Save the people, protect the people. How? Prabhupada is relating by engaging them in service of Rishikesha. That is real protection. That is the prime duty clearly told by Brahma to his son Manu, the father of mankind. The duty, the prime duty of the king is to give protection to the citizen. How to give protection to the citizen? Prime protection by engaging them in service of Rishikesha. Master of senses. Why this word is used is, he is the master of all senses. So, citizen's senses belongs to whom? Everybody's senses belongs to whom? If he is Rishikesha, he is the master of senses means what? He is the proprietor, he is the master of everybody's senses. So where should be the senses engaged? Senses should be engaged in the service of master of senses. That is why this word is being used here. So, the most important prime duty of the king is to give protection by engaging everyone, by arranging the administration in such a way everyone is advancing in Krishna consciousness, and at the end of lifetime they should be able to go back to Godhead. That is why they were called as Naradeva. What is the meaning of Naradeva? He is God in human form. Prabhupada explains. Because he is representative of the Supreme Lord. Just like the Supreme Lord, he has a mission in this world. The king has a mission on behalf of the Supreme Lord. The spiritual master has the same mission on behalf of the Supreme Lord. And that is why the spiritual master is regarded as good as God, and a bona fide king, a proper representative of king, is also called as Naradeva. He is God in human form, because he is representing the Supreme Lord's mission in this world. So Prabhupada explains, just like the spiritual master's mission is, he gives the suffering humanity spiritual knowledge. He disseminates the spiritual knowledge to the living entity. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya. By spiritual knowledge, he opens the eyes of the ignorant living entity. Similarly, how is the king a representative of God? Spiritual master is representative of God by giving that important knowledge to the people. How is a king a representative of God? Ram Gopal. So how is he representing? See, spiritual master is representing the mission of the Lord of giving this knowledge. Krishna wants living entities should be given this spiritual knowledge so that they can come out of ignorance. Correct? So he is representing the Supreme Lord of reclaiming the fallen soul back to Godhead. How is king representing God? Okay. So Prabhupada explains in two important ways. One is by maintaining. Maintenance is also part of protection. Just like Krishna is called Adi Raja. He is the original king. He is the original maintainer. King is also the maintainer. Right? We see why does he collect actually taxes. Prabhupada is saying here, simply tax collection is not the work of the king. Tax collection is meant for maintaining. Tax collection is not meant for increasing my treasury and then exploiting and enjoying my life. That is not the meaning of tax collection. That was meant for maintaining the praja. If there is sometimes there is not proper rain, if there is no proper production, if the business is not proper, then from the treasury of the government it can be distributed to people. They can be maintained properly. So, Prabhupada explains, just like it is said, Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Eko va Bahudati Vidadhati Kaman. That one Supreme Personality, he maintains everyone. He is the original king who maintains everyone. On his behalf, the representative king also maintains praja. Praja also includes all other living entities. Praja does not mean only human being. Not that only human being is maintained and cow is sent to slaughterhouse. That is not maintenance. Maintenance means maintenance of anyone who has taken birth. Praja means one who has taken birth, jayate. One who has taken birth in that kingdom is called praja. So, cows, dogs, animals, everyone is called as praja and everyone must be maintained. That is one important work of king. Another important work of king is, Prabhupada says, he should be actually rishi, but he is doing the work of administration. Spiritual master is rishi, but he is doing the work of not administration. He is doing the work of propagating this Krishna consciousness. Here, he is rishi only, but he is doing the work of administration. And such people were actually the real protector of Krishna consciousness. When they understood, when the Rajas understood the real goal of life is to make people Krishna conscious, they were the real protector of Krishna consciousness to be spread, Krishna consciousness not to be diluted, Krishna consciousness to be passed from generation after generation. That task was for these great Raja Rishis. You see? We see that. From one generation to another generation, passing down the message of Krishna consciousness was given to maintain the disciplic succession. That work was given to these Raja Rishis. Where does Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita? Imam vivasvate yogam proktavan aham avyayam vivashvan manave praha. See, Krishna is telling, I gave this knowledge to sun god Vivashvan. Krishna gave this knowledge to sun god Vivashvan so that under his protection the knowledge can be properly passed down. What did Vivashvan do? Vivashvan passed down that knowledge to Manu. What did Manu do? They are all kings, you see. They are all kings. Manu is king. Vivashvan is king. Manu Ikshvake Vibravir. Manu gave it to Ikshvaku. And then Krishna is again stressing. What does Krishna say? Evam parampara praptam imam rajarishayo viduhu. The knowledge was thus passed down by these Raja Rishis. So protection of this knowledge being passed down from one generation to another was dependent. Such an important task was given to these Raja Rishis. That is another important work of king. He should see to it that there is a proper facility of preaching Krishna consciousness, so that generation after generation this knowledge remains. It is passed down. It does not get blocked. It does not get diluted. It does not get changed. That was the work of these Rajas, these kings. They were giving protection even for devotional service. That devotional service should not become deteriorated. You see, that was the meaning. That Brahmana is doing the work of a Brahmana. Shudra is doing the work of a Shudra. Not that Shudra has become Brahmana and propagating Bhagavad Gita. You see, he has no understanding of Bhagavad Gita and he is saying that I am a guru. That was the work of the king. To see these upstarts should not become the giver of this knowledge. It should be in proper hands. Knowledge should be given by proper people. And people should have facility to receive this knowledge properly. You see, if they have, even if they're having problems even with their livelihood, they cannot get even proper food to eat, where people will hear Bhagavad Gita. So everything, circumstances should be given, people should be given proper protection for all necessities of life, so that they are in a position to receive this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. Whole administration should be so arranged that at the end of the life, everyone should be able to go back to Godhead. Brahmana should be able to go back to Godhead, Kshatriya should be able to go back to Godhead, Vaishyas and even Shudra should be able to go back to Godhead. Administration should be so arranged. That was the work of, prime duty of king. We should understand. Another very important aspect which we should try to understand is actually real protection. Real protection is the protection of our devotional service. Sometimes externally we may see a devotee is not given his bodily protection. We should not misunderstand that Krishna did not protect his devotee. At certain incidences, depending on the will of the Lord, a devotee may be given even physical protection. and sometimes the Lord may not give. But that should not be measured as not giving protection to the devotee. We see the example of Prahlad. He was thrown from a cliff. He was put in the boiling oil. He was thrown in the well where thousands and thousands of snakes were there. But Krishna gave protection to his body. Krishna gave protection to the body of Maharaj Parikshit in the womb of mother Uttara. But later on, when that Brahmana cursed Parikshit Maharaj, did Krishna fail to give him protection? Should we consider? Krishna personally went to the womb of Uttara, gave protection to Maharaj Parikshit. Later on, when the Brahmana cursed, why Krishna did not give protection to Maharaj Parikshit? One may think, Parikshit Maharaj was a great devotee of the Lord. From childhood he was a great devotee. Why Krishna did not protect his body? After 7 days he had to give up his body. So should we understand Krishna did not protect his body? Krishna did not protect Parikshit Maharaj? In the childhood he was protected, in the womb he was protected. What about at the point of death? Why he did not give him protection? Isn't it? Prabhupada says about his Guru Maharaj that my Guru Maharaj left early because he was dissatisfied with his so-called disciple. So it looks like Krishna did not give him protection, he left his body early. Isn't it? Sometimes we may find devotees practicing Krishna consciousness, sometimes they die in some accidents. We were reading once, in one of the classes, one of the conversations, that 3 devotees were executed. They were beheaded in Pakistan. Or we find Jesus Christ was crucified. So does it mean the Lord never gave protection to them? Or we see the example of Bharat Maharaj. Bharat Maharaj, he practiced Krishna consciousness up to the point of bhava. And then he had to die and take up a body of a deer. So did Krishna not give protection to him? So actually, Krishna gave protection even to Maharaj Parikshit, even with that curse. And Parikshit Maharaj was such a great devotee, he recognized that. He said, this death also is Krishna. He was able to recognize that. He's saying, my dear Lord, you have overtaken me in the form of a curse of the Brahmana. That curse of the Brahmana is also, he is just an instrument, but it is you only. And that is a great favor you have done to me. I had become too attached to this material life. So now you in the form of a curse of a Brahmana, you have given me that instruction. How long are you going to enjoy? You have only 7 more days. Better utilize your time and become Krishna conscious. He recognized that. So even that is a protection. Krishna actually gave protection to him. That is real protection. Similarly, Bharat Maharaj, that is a protection given to him. The Lord is so merciful. Even though he reached the stage of bhava, he fell down not because of Krishna. He fell down because of his individual misuse of independence. But Krishna is so kind, in spite of that he gave him protection. That even in the body of a deer, he was aware of his fault. Being aware of his fault, he would not go and mix with ordinary animals. He would always be near the hermitage of great sages and hear Krishna Katha. So that was a protection. And in the next life, he became a great devotee, Jada Bharat. So sometimes, seemingly, just the protection of the body is not real protection. We should not judge by the externals. So sometimes we may find that sometimes the devotees are traveling, and where are they traveling? They may be traveling to Vrindavan. And people, atheistic kind of people, they will sometimes say, see what your God has given protection. They were all traveling to Vrindavan. They were all traveling to Badrinath. And there was a flood and thousands of such devotees perished. Right? So, protection is not just from external viewpoint, we have to understand. Prabhupada gives an example. Death will come for everyone. But what is the consciousness at the point of death? That is very important. That is real protection. Devotee even at the point of death knows death is only of the material body. Spirit, soul never dies. Isn't it? Just like Prabhupada gave that example. Rat or a mouse in the jaws of a cat, it is under the same jaws. But what is the feeling of the mouse or the rat? Horrible feeling. He is actually feeling death. But the same jaws, in the same jaws, the cat also catches a kitten. Kitten is feeling very warm. He is not feeling any kind of fear. Rather, he is feeling protection. In the same jaws, kitten is feeling protection, and in the same jaws, the mouse or the rat is feeling death. Similarly, externally, the material nature may take a toll even on the body of a devotee. But the consciousness of a devotee is never disturbed. He still feels the warmth of the Supreme Lord. Because he knows, Tyaktva deham punarjanam naiti. After giving up this body, I don't have to come back to this material world. So he's not afraid of death. Isn't it? Because he knows the reality. That what is this death? It is nothing but the change of this body. So, I am going to change for a better life. So, what is the difficulty in understanding? So, that also we should understand properly here. In this verse, very clearly, Prabhupada is explaining, though everything, the whole, if you see, the whole translation talks about protection, praja, rakshaya, but Prabhupada is explaining what is rakshaya. To engage people in devotional service is rakshaya, is the real protection. Because when we take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, that is considered to be the real protection. He is actually the real protector. O King, if you can give proper protection to the living beings in the material world, that will be the best service for me. When the Supreme Lord sees you to be a good protector of the conditioned soul, certainly the master of the senses will be very pleased with you. So he's saying, the Supreme Lord Rishikesha, he will be very pleased with you when he sees you to be a good protector. Then Prabhupada is explaining what is that good protection. Prabhupada is saying, everyone must be educated in Vishnu worship and engaged in the devotional service of Rishikesha, the owner of the senses. The conditioned souls are meant not to satisfy their material senses, but to satisfy the senses of Rishikesha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the purpose of complete administrative system. One who knows this secret, as disclosed here in the version of Brahma, is the perfect administrative head. So what is a perfect administrative head? Who gives protection by seeing that everyone is employed in service of Krishna. That is the real protection. So we'll stop with this. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.